Hey guys, it's Miss Stalker. We're going to do a couple of examples of subtracting integers. So this is going to go with your guided notes of subtracting integers, but here's just a little extra practice. You can see me working out some problems for you, and this is another great resource to use. So we're going to do 5 examples together. The first one we're going to do is negative 15 minus negative 10. That is our first problem. We're going to use that same method that we've been talking about. I'm going to write it over here. Keep, change, change. The KCC method for subtracting integers. So what I'm going to do, and I always do this to help organize my thoughts, is I'm going to put a K above my first number because the first number keeps, it stays the same. I have to change the sign of my second number, so a C goes above it. And I have to change the sign of my second subtrahend to the opposite. So when I rewrite this problem, I keep negative 15 the same. I change the subtraction to addition, and I change the negative 10 to a positive 10. Negative 15 plus 10 equals negative 5. And I'm gonna go back up and write it here as well. These two problems are equivalent to one another. They have the same subtrahends, or in this problem we have add-ins, but they still give us the same sum or difference, right? We still have the same answer of negative 5. These are equivalent expressions or equations because they both have the same answers. Example number 2. We have 11 minus negative 9 equals. And again, I'm going to keep using that keep, change, change method. K above my first number, a C above my operation, and a C above my second subtrahend here. I always rewrite it just to help me organize my thoughts. And I'm going to write 11 because 11 keeps or it stays the same. I change subtraction to addition, and I change my negative 9 to a positive 9. 11 plus 9 is 20. My answer is 20. And again, these are equivalent equations because they have the same answers. They share the same answers or solutions. Now, before we move on to our next example, I want to talk about something with these 2 examples that we've just completed. You're going to start noticing a pattern when you subtract a negative. When you subtract a negative, 2 negatives make a positive. 2 negatives make a positive. So anytime you see a subtraction sign and a negative sign right next to each other, it turns into addition of a positive. So I'm going to say it one more time just to help us out. 2 negatives make a positive. All right, we're going to keep moving on. We will practice tons and tons more. These are just good examples for you to have to look back on when you're practicing on your own in case you get stuck. On our third example, we have negative 12 minus 7 equals. Again, I'm using that keep, change, change method, that KCC. I'm going to rewrite this problem. I keep the negative 12 the same. I change subtraction to addition. I change my second number, my second subtrahend, to a negative 7. And you're probably thinking, Miss Stalker, there's already a subtraction sign there. Remember, we only change the second C says to change the operation. This tells you to change the number. And so since we don't have this number in parentheses and there's not a negative sign connected directly with that 7, that means it's a positive 7. So we have to change this 7 to a negative 7. So our new problem reads negative 12 plus negative 7 equals. Now remember, we started learning about this with addition of integers. We said when you have 2 numbers with the same sign, a negative plus a negative always equals a negative. and you add just like you always normally would. 12 plus 7 is 19. So our answer is negative 19. Another way to think of it, if you didn't want to change this to subtraction, you're already $12 in debt. You go $7 more in debt. How much in debt are you? You're negative $19 in debt. I like to think of it as money as well sometimes. Number 4, 28 minus negative 3 equals. We're using that keep, change method, KCC. We keep that 28 the same. I change subtraction to addition. I change that negative 3 to a positive 3. Remember, 2 negatives make a positive. 28 plus 3 is positive 31. So our answer to this problem is 31. Our last example for this video, we have our example 5, and we have 10 minus 16. 10 minus 16. We're going to use that same keep, change method. I keep my first subtrahend the same, 10. I change that subtraction sign to addition. I change, and remember, I said this earlier, since this 16 is not in parentheses and there's not a negative sign directly next to it, connected to that 16, this is technically a positive 16. So we're going to change that positive 16 to a negative 16. Adding a negative is kind of like subtracting. So I just do 16 minus 10, which is 6. Out of these two subtrahends, or in this case add-ins, the 16 has the greater absolute value. It's further away from 0. And 16 is a negative number. So my answer is a negative 6. So 10 minus 16 is negative 6.